but that year we did.
So you came through and what was your study at FSC?
I majored in modern languages, which I really haven't done anything with it except for pleasure. You know, now I recognize some words, but not many. But I enjoyed that. But then after graduation, one of the things that Jack Anderson had done for Trinity was to hire a staff. We'd never had any staff at Trinity except a custodian to clean the church before services, and I think that was part-time probably. And I don't know whether they paid any of the musicians, the organist or the choir director, or not. If they did, it was very little probably. But when he came, he had the church hire Lynn Thompson, Mrs. O.B. Thompson, to be the church secretary. And they set up an office in the old parsonage that was next door. They enclosed the side porch and made a room for the secretary.
The old parsonage, would you tell them where that was located?
It was located east of the church building, between it and the back of the Presbyterian church. It was a frame building, I guess in the style of the day, with a porch on the front and the side, and 2 stories. And because it was on a hill, there were rooms that were underneath that were accessed, I guess, from the side, because there were no steps that went down to that level. And probably when the ministers lived there, it was probably just unfinished area underneath. But they made the kindergarten out of that area.
So the first kindergarten, the first...
well, it was not a weekday. It was just Sunday school.
Oh, you mean the Sunday school? Okay.
Sunday school.
So in
the
today's...
little children were down there. I don't remember who was on the first floor, maybe the senior high. But I know the primary department, which was the first, second, and third grades, were upstairs. And Mrs. Brown, Led Brown's mother, Miss Allie, and Miss Susie Bridges, Miss Ben Bridges, played the piano, and Miss Allie was the superintendent of the department. And she would lead the little assembly, and they had made up songbooks that we used. And we had a little assembly, and then we'd break up into tiny little rooms that had a kidney-shaped table, and the teacher would sit in the middle of that curve, and the children would sit around the table.
Those type tables in my day. I remember those type Sunday school rooms.
But they would break up into classrooms.
Then how did you become functional in the care of the church in the late 40s, I think it was, when you were...
when I finished college, I didn't have a job, and had applied for several things to use my language, and of course it was still just very new after the war, and I was only 20, and there just weren't many jobs for me.
Except the grocery store.
Well, I didn't work in the grocery store. But Mrs. Thompson, Coach Amos Godby had been the coach at Lynn when I was in school. He had been elected superintendent of schools about that time, and he persuaded Lynn Thompson to come work for him in the school office. And so the church was without a secretary. I wasn't much of a secretary. I'd type my term papers, and that's about all I knew about being a secretary. But I was hired to be the church secretary, and knew nothing about what.
Did you handle the finances in there, part of it too?
No.
No.
Warren Anderson was the church treasurer, and he handled the money part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I would post all the contributions
Mm-hmm.
to members' records,
Yeah.
which was only, I think you probably still have that little car file, that everything was on those cards. And that was the only file of the membership that we had.
You answered the phone?
I answered the phone. We had a desk that had a well in it, and that desk was still around when I moved back to Tallahassee. One drawer. And the typewriter that was on that desk had a tag on it that said, property of Edwin Larson, treasurer, state of Florida.
And he was a member of the church?
He was a member of the church.
Rubie, your office was in the old parsonage?
It was in the old parsonage where they had enclosed the side porch to make a room.
Kind of drafty in there?
Very drafty. There was nothing under the floorboards, and they weren't real tight. And Hollis Pemberton, Mr. Pemberton, Sr., had made a gas stove out of a galvanized pipe. He drilled holes in it and then put some tin around it. And it was vented out of the window. And if the wind blew through that vent, it blew the flame out. And then I would smell gas and know that I didn't have any heat, I had gas. I don't think I could have been killed by it because there was so much draft in there that it would have saved me. But
you could tell when it was out.
I could tell when it was out, and then I would go light it again.
Will you tell us about